Well, hello and welcome, everybody. My name is Peter Greenlaw. I've been a nutritional researcher for 23 years. I've written 4 best-selling books, 20 shows on PBS, and over 1,500 lectures all over the world in universities and hospitals and towns, and went to China. I'm telling you that because for my whole 20 of those 23 years in the medical world, all these amazing results that we had, weight loss, energy, people feeling better, having more energy, sleeping better at night, meant zero. This podcast today could change everything that you've ever thought about, again, diet, exercise, nutrition, and just your sort of quality of life. But before I begin, I want to say this. This podcast is for educational purposes only. It's not intended to treat, diagnose, prevent any diseases. So let's get right into it. The reason that I said that after 20 years with unbelievable people losing tremendous amounts of weight, feeling better, going to the doctor, showing really great results, in the medical world, it meant zero. So let me say something that's very important. Over 15 years ago, I wrote in one of my books, sometimes in history, something happens that's so extraordinary that it changes the world. Well, I believe that that moment has now arrived. Now, I waited more than 20 years for it. For years, I've had unbelievable success with the products from Isagenix. And we're going to get into why that's so amazing and why it's so incredible and why now it really is going to take the forefront and change the world. I really believe there's no equivalent, and I'm going to have the medical proof to back it up. So let's start first with the understanding of why I'm saying that. For 20 years, the thing that I lacked were what I call peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. I had anecdotal studies. By the way, if you go online and you look across social media, you'll see all these medical doctors and chiropractors and dietitians and nutritionists and weight loss physicians. I haven't seen one with one shred of medical evidence, let alone a peer-reviewed human trial study. See, you have to understand there are different categories in research. One of them is called a clinical study, okay? It's not done on human beings, because the highest level you can go in medicine is what's called a peer-reviewed human trial study. So imagine for 20 years I was out there and we were seeing these unbelievable results, but we had no medical proof. So nobody in the medical world, at least as far as I was concerned, would even take a look at this. They said, oh, it's unhealthy to lose that much weight that fast. It's unproven, et cetera. Well, a couple of years ago, that all changed when 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies got published utilizing the Isagenix products and system. I'm going to get into all that in just a moment. And by the way, this is not an infomercial. This is a podcast, and I'm only giving you medical facts. See, what's great about what I can do now, I don't have to make up things. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to sell you. I'm going to show you what's involved in the medical studies, which is so much more than weight loss. We're going to talk about all of that in just a moment. But first, let me spend just a minute or two explaining to you, why is a peer-reviewed human trial medical study the highest level you can go in medical investigation? For example, no drug if it's approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. So it's not done on mice or rats or chimpanzees, it's done on human beings. But let me explain to you how hard it is to get a peer-reviewed study. When you're the researchers, like in this case, well, let me tell you who did the research. His name is Dr. Paul Arciero. And there's a rating service for researchers in the entire world. It's not 0 to 100, it's a different scale. So they consider someone who's really great researcher, they give them a score of 20. People who won the Nobel Prize in Medicine, they give them a 30. Dr. Arcero's rating as a world-class nutrition, weight loss, and physiologist, 46. In addition, when you're a researcher, what you want to do is other researchers to cite your work. He's been cited 9,400 times. So it's not just like some random person did this study. This is the top person in the world. And I will say, he's told me when he first started these studies back in really about 13 years ago in 2012, he was pretty skeptical because the kind of anecdotal results we were seeing had never seen before. I mean, people were used to like a half a pound or a pound a week. And here we had people that were losing, weight literally in a week that took weeks on any diet. And they had energy and they felt good, but there was no proof. So what did the medical world say? Oh, it's unhealthy to lose that much weight that fast on a diet. There was no defense. We couldn't come back. But the difference now is in these peer-reviewed human trial medical studies, it's so much more than weight loss. My gosh, people's blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, all came down dramatically just in 30 days. People's hunger came down 41%. Cravings came down 40%. But here was the big one, and I'm not making a claim. It's in the medical studies. In case you all didn't know, inflammation, which now in the medical community is a real contributing factor to many of the conditions that we're facing, it came down 25% in a month. No one's ever seen anything like that before. Even Dr. Arciero, where they said when they ran the numbers, their own numbers for their own studies, they had to rerun them 3 times because they couldn't believe the results. See, this all happened, it was created years ago, more than 20 years ago, by John Anderson, who was, I call him the Indiana Jones of nutrition, because he physically had gone to places like Mongolia and Tibet and the Himalayas and South America and New Zealand. And his whole thing, I knew him. He was really my mentor years ago. And he told me, he says, look, our food in North America is becoming more and more nutritionally bankrupt. That's why he went out to other areas of the world and found people that were living these vibrant, healthy lives based on one principle: lots of nutrition. So he brought these elements back to the United States. And when he formed this years ago, he put those in these products. And this is my opinion, but what he created was the world's most perfect meals from a nutritional standpoint. And that's the only thing you should care about. I can't even begin to tell you how my whole life has changed because of these 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. Why? Because now I don't have to convince anybody. I'm not selling anybody. I'm saying, here is the medical proof for everything I'm saying. I'll tell you one quick story. I have a friend, it's a major medical doctor, an oncologist actually, at a huge hospital out in California. I've known her for 15 years. She'd always like humor me. Oh, that's really nice. Well, when I got the medical studies, I sent them to her. She called me the next day and said, oh my gosh, do you know that she's referred in the last year and a half about over 100 of her patients to me? She wouldn't do it before because she said, look, there wasn't enough proof for me to think that this was real. Because most people, when they looked at the results that we were getting without the medical studies, they thought they were unreal. They thought they were Photoshopped. They thought they were unreal. The doctors that look at this, they're astounded. They can't believe it. Even when they're looking at the medical proof of blood pressure and blood sugar and cholesterol and triglycerides coming down dramatically in 30 days, not a claim, it's in the studies. Do you know that people in 8 weeks lost the kind of weight that took months on a diet? Now, one of the big pushbacks on a diet is what? You lose water weight and you lose lean muscle mass. On this, with no exercise, the people, men and women in these studies, gain 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Are you kidding me? I mean, when I tell people that, they go, no. I mean, weight loss people go, that's impossible. The only way you're going to live, you can't lower food and increase muscle. Oh yeah, you can if you understand the human. Let me take 1 second to explain to you why diets are such huge failures. Because you're all concentrating on calories in, calories out. What a bunch of nonsense. Your body has no idea what a calorie is. John Anderson knew this. He said, Peter, no, it's not about the calories. It's about one principle, and that principle is simple. The body relies on what? One constant. The minimum amount of nutrition in order to run all your organs, your brain, your kidney, your liver, your heart. So when you go on a diet, what are you doing? You're lowering the amount of food you're consuming and what you're typically doing with regular food, even if it's organic. You're lowering nutrition. When that happens, it triggers a starvation in your brain, whether you knew it or not. And the brain shuts down the ability of your cells to access the energy in the fat cell and turns to your muscles for fuel. That's why you plateau. That's why it slows down your metabolism. That's why you plateau in these diets and gain everything back. What did Dr. Arciero prove in these studies? They were giving people less food, but they were using Isagenix, which had these huge amounts of nutrition that John Anderson put in them years ago. Now we have the proof. Oh my goodness, it worked. It really did work. But we have the medical proof that changed the world. This has made my life, my job so much easier. Why? Because I'm relying on peer-reviewed human trial medical studies that nobody else has. Do you understand? I can't find anybody, and we're pretty big on social media. I can't find anybody with one peer-reviewed human trial study. They're all coming on making these proclamations and, oh, you can lose 20 pounds in a month and it's mostly fat. Right away, that's a lie. The human body, you don't burn fat either through a diet or through exercise. You're born with a certain number of fat cells. You leave the world with a certain number of fat cells, and in between those fat cells can expand or contract. That's what they proved, that it was about nutrition. So if you could give yourself less amount of food by volume, but more nutrition, bingo, that's what it was. That's what John Anderson saw all those years ago. He told me that. He said, you wait and see, we're headed for a crisis. Well, I mean, Johns Hopkins Medical School, I think I said that before. Johns Hopkins study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese by 2030. Does that sound to you like diets are going to work? You have the answer right here in your, well, if you print them out, get the studies. Do you understand what an opportunity we have? We're talking about 86% of America being overweight or obese in basically 4.5 years. Worldwide, we have 1 billion people obese. I'm sorry, clinically obese, according to Lancet, the #1 medical journal in the world. Remember, I don't give you opinions. I'm only giving you facts. So it doesn't matter. The fact that it's Isagenix is wonderful because the studies were done on Isagenix. And regular food to a much lesser extent. About 30% of the food they consume came from the grocery store, and they even gave them a list of proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. But instead of giving calorie counts, I'm talking about the studies now, they gave them serving sizes. Well, that makes perfect sense. It's never been about how much food we were consuming. It's always been about how much nutrition we got. Dr. Arciero gave us such a gift, inadvertently. Because like I said, when he first started, he didn't know whether this was going to work. They were pretty skeptical. But now it's like, it's so amazing to have this in these huge journals like the Obesity Journal and Nutrients. And the one that I'm the most impressed, it just came out last year in Nature Communications, the #1 medical journal in the world. That study had nothing to do with weight loss. It was about our gut, about our microbiome. The reason to do this is not to lose weight. That's like the throw-in, even though you're going to probably lose as much weight in a week as you would in maybe even 6 or 8 weeks. But you're going to feel good. You're going to have energy. You're going to sleep better at night. You're going to lower your stress levels. That's not something I'm making up. We got the proof that inflammation came down 25% in 30 days. Are you kidding me? Why wouldn't you share this with everybody? What would prevent you from sharing it with everybody? Because these studies put you in a different category than anybody else. We have the solution. That's not some sales gimmick. We have 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies proving everything I'm saying. And with this crisis that we're facing, because we are, hello? Why wouldn't you tell people? So anyway, I hope that this has been helpful, informative. I hope it excites you. Excites me. Heck, I hung in there for 20 years with no proof. And now I've got, it's like gold. It's like gold in my hands with these studies. Isagenix, are you kidding me? Why is no other company doing this? You know why? Because when you submit, see, people think, oh, Isagenix funded the studies. They don't understand. When you fund these studies, you sign over all rights. So that means that the researchers, like say the Obesity Journal, when they analyzed Arciero's work and sent it out to independent medical doctors and researchers around the world who have one job, guess what it is? To discredit what he was trying to prove. So that's why companies won't do it. Because they would be, what they're claiming, they can't back up. You can back up everything we're talking about. Blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, inflammation, pounds, inches, muscle mass. It's all there for all of you. I really implore you, go share it with the world. What's my dream? To change the world. What did I say in the beginning? Sometimes in history, something happens that's so extraordinary that it changes the world. Do you understand that that moment is now? Do you understand you have the power to be part of this, let's call it a movement? Somebody has to do it. Why wouldn't it be you? Why wouldn't it be? All I know is I'm doing it. It's made my life so much easier, and it's just wonderful. So thank you.